2014 graduate from the BS in Applied Social Science program. Lakayana is the founder of Word is Bond, a nonprofit organization out of Portland, Oregon, which engages young Black men ages 15 to 20 through 5 award-winning programs: Rising Leaders, Level Up, In My Shoes, the Spring Leadership Forum, and the Black Star Homecoming Expedition. This year, Lakayana was appointed to the Oregon Commission on Black Affairs, which works for the implementation and establishment of economic, social, legal, and political equality for Black Oregonians. Please welcome Commissioner Lakayana.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Madam Chancellor Frank, distinguished professors, Class of 2023 of the University of Wisconsin Stout, congratulations on your accomplishments. I stand before you today to say that I am here because I have embraced my fears. I stand on the shoulders of giants, of individuals near and far who have paved the way for me to be here today. To my mother, Teresa, who raised 3 children on her own and embodies the definition of hard work. To my big brother, Kevin, from the Big Brothers and Sisters program of Dane County, who showed me the power of mentorship. I would like to dedicate my remarks today to the late Dr. Alec Kirby, who taught my first African American Studies program just up the street here at Harvey Hall. I would also like to dedicate it in memory of Nicole Reyes, a friend and classmate of mine of the graduating class of 2012. Finally, I would like to invoke the memory of Raymond Brad Bradshaw, who was the first Black student to attend UW Stout in 1914, almost 100 years ago today. My opening quote was from Marianne Williamson, who went on to say, "As we are liberated from our fear, our presence automatically liberates others." When I first came to UW Stout in the fall of 2010, I was a young man gripped in fear. I can still remember that day as clear as ever in my mind. My 1998 Honda CR-V was packed with everything I felt that I needed for college, which was mostly clothes and shoes, but that's besides the point. My brother was riding shotgun with me for the 3-hour ride from Madison, Wisconsin, and we were playing J. Cole the entire way up. But no matter how much I tried to pump myself up, deep inside, I was in fear. I was afraid of losing the friendships that I had worked so hard to build back home. Afraid of the unknown. But most of all, I was afraid that that thought in the back of my mind might be true, that I was a failure. I was so late to applying to UW Stout that they had to put me up in temporary housing at the bottom of North Hall. After my family had left and I'd unpacked my clothes, I took a walk across campus, and the tears rolled down my eyes. That moment was sinking in that I was here for the long haul, and no amount of J. Cole could stop that fear from seeping in. Would you believe me if I told you that I graduated high school with a 2.3 GPA? That my senior year of high school, I didn't receive one letter of acceptance to a 4-year college or university. Would you believe me if I told you that my initial application to UW Stout was denied? All of these facts are true. My presence on this stage is quite unlikely. And when I was 21 years old, it was frankly unimaginable. I had been passed hand over fist from classroom to classroom throughout my public education career. I felt like just another name on a roster. Each year at the start of the classroom, at the start of the school year, the teacher without fail would mispronounce my name. It was like an annual funeral for my identity. Failing is exhausting. Year after year, class after class, and the only thing that I managed to attain during that time was a learning disability in 6th grade. During that entire experience, I had only one black teacher who looked like me, for one semester, for one class. I was the student with a long name that no one could pronounce, that was easily distracted and quick to forget. The impression that I got from my teachers back in those days was that they didn't think I was smart, and they had successfully planted that idea in my mind. When I graduated high school in 2007, that was the thing that I took away most from my class experience, was that I wasn't intelligent. Fast forward 3 years to 2010, I was at a community college in year 3 of what was supposed to be a 2-year transfer program. I desperately needed to get into a 4-year university. And that's when I heard about the Applied Social Science program at UW Stout, where my sister was completing her first year of college. My mom thought it would be the perfect fit for me, and so I applied. I remember we were sitting on a couch, and I wanted to check on my application, so I gave UW Stout a call. The voice on the other end of the line gave me what was at that point familiar bad news. I didn't get in. My acceptance was rejected, and I wouldn't be attending a 4-year university that fall. My mom said, pick up the phone and call them back and see what you can do to get in this year. But that fear was just overwhelming, and I couldn't do it. To me, no meant no. But my mother raised 3 children on her own, so no didn't mean no for her. It just meant find another way. So she picked up the phone and gave them a call, and they looked at my transcripts. And they saw the learning disability on my record, and they said, if he can produce 3 letters of recommendation, we'll let him into school this fall. And that's how I got into UW Stout, by the skin of my neck. It wasn't pretty. I surely wasn't prepared, but I was in. Barely, but I was in. So here I was in Menominee, Wisconsin, small town, young black man with no idea what I was capable of becoming. But at Stout, in the classrooms at Harvey Hall, I found for the first time professors, teachers that actually believed I was capable. Despite being at a predominantly white campus, I found a community of peers, black, brown, and white, who became the first true friends I ever made in school. And being 3 hours from home, I had the space away from the people who told me what I couldn't be, to breathe and dream of who I could become. And I reinvented myself as a man on a mission. When people meet me today, they can't see the kid in temporary dorm housing with a 2.3 GPA. They can only see the things that I've accomplished now. They assume that I've always been this way, but that wasn't the case. It took failure after failure, no after no, falling down and getting back up, falling down and getting back up to get to where I am today. And UW Stout was those crossroads between who I was and who I would become. In the course of my first year at UW Stout, I went from that kid in temporary dorm housing with a 2.3 GPA to achieving a 4.0 GPA, to becoming a member of the Stout Student Senate, and becoming president of our campus Black Student Union chapter. How did I do it? I stopped believing what other people said about me. They said, "Your name is Lucky." And I said, "No, my name is Lakayana." They said, "You have a learning disability." And I said, "No, I just learn differently." They said, "You're too skinny." And I said, "My physical strength does not determine my actual strength." They said, "You have to follow the rules." And I said, "The rules are meant to be broken." They said, "Nobody who looks like you has ever done it before." And I said, "Well, I guess I'm going to be the first." You see, there is a difference between the story that people tell you about who you are and the story that you get to write about yourself. Your story is the greatest asset that you will ever own. Whether you are tall, short, overweight, black, white, Hmong, Latino, Christian, Muslim, or differently abled, your story is yours. Write it boldly, and don't write it from fear, but write it from the inkwell of possibility. Impossible is just a word that they invented to keep you from your true self. You are infinite. You are full of unlimited possibilities, and at any point, you can rewrite your narrative. That is the greatest lesson that I took from UW Stout. Beyond the fantastic professors, beyond the students that I would meet that would become my community, beyond the leadership accolades that I would achieve, I learned to believe in myself, that I am the captain of my soul. When I look back on those experiences, the D's and the F's on my report card, the letters of denial, the smirks on certain people's face when they believed that they were better than me, I am grateful for those experiences. They shaped me into the person I am. They gave me the grit, the hunger to go that much further. If I could go back, I wouldn't change any of those experiences. They shaped me who I am today. They taught me how I wanted to treat others, and if I was in a position of power, how I would treat other people. You see, if I had believed what others said about me, I would never have gone on to do the things that I have achieved. I would never have become a teacher myself, to teach black students who look and learn like me that black lives and black education matter. I would never have gone to teach in Beijing, China, and walk the Great Wall. I would never have visited the pyramids of Giza, where the pharaohs of Egypt created one of the powerfulest dynasties in human history on the continent of Africa. I would never have gone to teach at an Afrocentric school in the inner city of Philadelphia. And I certainly would never have moved to Portland, Oregon, where I created my own nonprofit, Word is Bond, which works to empower young black men in the way that I wish I had been empowered when I was a young man. You see, on the other side of your fears lies the wildest possibilities of the version that you could be. Class of 2023, I urge you to stand as tall as the clock tower on Bowman Hall. I urge you to let your passions flow like the rivers and the waters on the Red Cedar River. I urge you to eliminate the words can't and try from your vocabulary, and when you step, step with purpose. Class of 2023, this is the beginning of your journey, not the end. Today marks the end of one chapter and the beginning of a new one, and I ask you this: who is writing your story? Is it you or the naysayers? Is it a story based on fear or a story based on infinite possibilities? You see, to me, there is nothing more beautiful than a blank page waiting to be filled with words. When you pick your pen up to write, don't worry if your spelling is correct. Don't worry who is watching or if your story makes sense to no one but just yourself. Write it for you. Write it for your inner child. Write it for the wildest version of you that could exist. Because when you tell your story, whether they are listening or not, or whether you have to just tell it to the universe, when you tell your story, you will set yourself free. And when you set yourself free, class of 2023, you will find your purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakayana. Thank you for sharing your story of how you let go of fear, you believed in yourself, and you were able to pursue your dreams. Next, we have the honor of hearing from a current student. The tradition of having student speakers began in December of 2019. Each student's story about their path to graduation is unique, and it's exciting to be able to highlight just a few of them. One student from each academic college is selected by a committee comprised of faculty, staff, and students. The applicants are interviewed and selected based upon their speaking ability, their story, and their pride in UW Stout. Please help me welcome Andrew Nozel, a Bachelor of Science in Video Production graduate.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. To me, there are no three words in the English language that hold more power. I appreciate you. Let me explain. The day before my first day of college, I went to the movies. Now, for a video production major, that might not sound out of the ordinary, because it's not. The difference here was that I walked for more than an hour across town to the theater to watch a 3-hour movie alone. Why? Because I knew nobody. Coming to Stout, I didn't know a single soul. And I knew that I needed something to distract myself from being away from my family back home and friends at different schools. Make no mistake, I may be standing up here today, but I am incredibly introverted. I am shy, and I have depression. These three things combined make it very easy for me to stand on the sidelines and keep to myself, which is why on the first day of school my first year, I made it a priority to introduce myself to the one other video production major in my class. Hey, my name is Andrew. I had to say hi because I heard your major was also video production.